Yeah, Tom, the Senate stalemate has certainly given fuel. We're talking about the vacancy on the Supreme Court, given plenty of fuel to attack ads going after Kelly Ayotte over the last few weeks. Today in Washington, the president got his wax in as well. But in that time that we did have with him, we also managed to touch on a couple other topics, ranging from Guantanamo Bay to the Republican frontrunner, of course, Donald Trump. Mr. President, good to see you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Josh.
4 minutes is not a lot of time, especially when the invite is based on a suggested topic. So that's where we'll start. Let's talk Judge Merrick Garland. Short of a 180 by Senate Republicans, it doesn't look like this thing's going to happen. So what's the end game?
Well, first of all, nobody's disputing that he's eminently qualified, maybe the most qualified nominee that we've seen before the Senate for a Supreme Court seat.
And by not even granting Garland a hearing, the president says Senate Republicans, including Kelly Ayotte, are not doing their jobs.
Let the American people watch him. Let him answer questions in front of the voters, Republican and Democrat and Independent, and then call a vote.
Recently, though, Senator Ayotte was critical of the president for releasing terror suspects from Guantanamo Bay, a detainment camp the president wants closed because he says it makes the problem worse.
Guantanamo has made us unsafe because it is one of the primary magnets used to recruit people who then engage in terrorist activities. It has become this celebrated cause among jihadists all around the world.
Executive order stay on the table, though?
Yeah, we're going to look at everything, but we think that the best way to do it is for Congress to get smart on this.
In 2012, you referred to one member of the field then as a carnival barker. I assume that he exists in this field now and may have a lot of followers. What's your opinion of Donald Trump?
Well, I think that he is not somebody who, even within the Republican Party, can be considered as equipped to deal with the problems of this office.
And the president went on to say that if Donald Trump does win the Republican nomination, that would be good news for Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, hinting that Donald Trump would be very beatable in the November election. All right, as for Kelly Ayotte, she continues to maintain, as have other Senate Republicans, that the Supreme Court vacancy, this seat is simply too important in its lifetime appointment not to let American voters, New Hampshire voters, weigh in with the November election and the next president. And today in New Hampshire, we caught up with Senator Ayotte, who also hinted that the president was being a bit hypocritical about this topic.
Under the Constitution, the president nominates a Supreme Court justice. It is up to the U.S. Senate to give advice and consent. And certainly when he was in the Senate, when he voted to filibuster Justice Alito, he understands that is a separate responsibility of the Senate. And in my view, waiting for the elections, we are in the midst of a presidential nomination process. To have the people weigh in at the election in November is important, given that we have a 4-4 court.
Well, even so, it's clear that the president would like to see the Senate Republicans reconsider on this one. Is he hopeful that it'll happen? Probably not, but this may be the last attempt to try to break that logjam and maybe also inflict a little political damage on Senate Republicans who just happen to be up for re-election in November, like New Hampshire's Kelly Ayotte. For now, reporting live in Washington, D.C. from the White House, I'm Josh McKelvin, WMUR News 9.